Okay, I'm going to give you guys, we have the review, actually have the wall frame review, all that's online, okay? And I'll remind you of that when I post this video. I'll remind you where to look for that on Google Classroom. All right, so I'm going to give you a review of what I need you to know for the quiz for rafter framing. Wall framing, consider that online and taken care of, all right? Two tools we're going to, well, tape measure obviously, but two tools we're going to look at are the speed square and the framing square, tape measure. First thing I want to cover is this. The steepness or slope of the roof is referred to as pitch, right? We all know that now, okay? Pitch is unit rise over unit run. Unit rise, height, or vertical, over unit run, horizontal, okay? Pitch, the horizontal, is always 12-inch increments. The run, or the rise, can be anything from what we've been working with, 0 to 12. The higher the number, the steeper the pitch. For example, a 12-12 would run between this and this right here. A 12-12 would essentially be this pitch here, okay? If I go down to a 6-12, I'm down in here, okay? 4-12 is lower, 14-12 would be higher than 12, so that's your unit rise over unit run. The hypotenuse, this is always a 90-degree triangle. The hypotenuse is your rafter run length. That's what we are going to figure out with our rafter. Well, how do we do that? As we talked about, and again, this is a review, we have to figure the span of our building, and then half of that is our run. Because if we looked at our buildings that we're building, the run is to the midpoint of the building. So we measure the building outside to outside to get our span. If your sheeting is already on the outside, you include that in there, okay? And I will give you an example on the quiz that we've probably worked with or close to it so you figure out. So for instance, if our span is 6 feet, our run is 3 feet, okay? That is how much of the rafter we have to lay out, okay? I want you to be able to understand this too when we get to move. So we're going to go to how to lay out the rafter. I'm going to use this board right here and lay out as much as I can based on the hypothetical situation, okay? All right, but before we do that, we're going to take a look at the framing square, because there'll be a couple questions on this. I will say if your pitch is a 10 pitch, what is your rafter run, length of your common rafter per foot of run? Well, you find that right here on the side of the blade that says length common rafter per foot run. Okay, if I go down to 10, my hypotenuse for every 12 inches of run will be 15.62 inches. Okay, well, how do I get 0.62 of an inch? I take 0.62 times 16 because there's 16, the inch is broken down into increments of 16ths of an inch, and I get as close to a fraction as I can get. We'll review that, but there'll be a problem there where I give you a couple examples of, okay, I want to know my rafter run length per foot of run, and I'll give you the pitch, and you come down and you find out how many inches that hypotenuse is, the length from here to here, and if there's a decimal, you're going to have to figure out exactly how long that rafter is based on the run, okay? And we'll review this in class as well. So you're going to need to know that. This is the speed square. Top cut, common cut rafter is the only thing we deal with. Do not look at the hip bow. I made that mistake twice in class last week. This is our framing square. This is the blade. This is the tongue. This is the rise. This is the run. Got it? 24 inches on here. 16 inches up here. Okay? From 0 to 16, from 0 to 24. The inside's a little shorter, but the outside 16, 24, blade, tongue, rise, run. Got it? And run is always based on increments of 12 inches. Okay, let's go hypothetically that our outside to outside measurement is indeed 6 feet. So our run is 3 feet. And I have exactly 3 runs of 12 inches, 3 feet, right? So this one will be easy, all right? So, and let's say our pitch is a 7/12, okay? First of all, I'm going to make my ridge cut. This is at the ridge. This is edge of building. I hope I have enough on this to do 3 runs. I'm going to make it a 7 pitch. So I take my pivot point, I rotate it up till my 7 on my common cut, rafter cut, hits the top, and I keep my pivot point there. All right, I've got my 7 at the top. I mark my first line, putting X here because that gets cut off because that will go to the ridge. We want the pitch here to match the pitch there. If I have a 7/12 on my tongue, I find 7. On my blade, I find 12. I put the 7 at the bottom. I put my 12 right on the edge, and I'm going to make a little tick mark. I then want my 7 pitch, well, I can do it this way here. Put the base at the tick mark, rotate my 7 to the bottom, check it, hold it. This is 1 run. I needed 3, got 1 done. I'll show you another way to do this. So then I take my 7, put my 12 here. I'm not going to quite have enough to do 3 runs on this one. Sorry, guys. Do the same thing. Well, yeah, let's just do the same thing then. 7/12. That doesn't look quite right. There we go, common cut. 7/12. Notice I mark on this side, not this side. I'm going to check this one for 7/12. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. All right. I don't think I'm going to have enough to make a 3rd run, but you're going to get the idea. It's going to, so close. Let's just assume we have 2 runs. But if we did a 3rd run, we'd do the same thing. 7 here, 12 there, make our mark, and that would be edge of building. So let's just say we have 2 runs, and this is edge of building. All right? And I want to make my seat cut or bird's mouth. Okay? The basic way we do this, and as you get more advanced, you'll learn other ways, is we're going to run up at the pitch line. We rotate this, we follow the pitch line of 7/12, and we come up 1.5 inches, and we make a mark right there. Okay? Then we take the blade, the tongue side lays along the pitch line. We raise that up to that 1.5 inches, and where 3.5 inches comes out, we're going to make a mark and connect our line. Now this is not a 2x4, and that's how we make our seat cut right there. That gets cut out. Okay? If we would have had 3 full runs, if I had a board long enough to make 3 full runs, we would have simply made 1 more mark out here, cut that edge of building off, and then would have dealt with our overhang. We're going to go ahead and do an overhang that let's say it's 8-inch overhang. It's not a typical overhang. It's usually 6 inches, a foot, or 2 feet. But let's make an 8-inch overhang. Tongue goes against the edge of building pitch mark. Let's go 5 inches. Okay? We follow that out. Now we could go 8 inches too. Let's just go 8 inches. We'll slide the tongue down along that pitch line. And on the inside we got 8-inch overhang right here. Okay? And we're going to make our pitch line run through there. So I'm going to rotate this out to 7 down here, and at the top is I'm going to line up the 7 at the bottom, and my pivot at the top. My 7 runs through the line of the tick mark I made, this line up here, and I rotate that down here, and my pivot is where I'm pivoting, but I want this is my 8-inch overhang. Okay? All right? So this would be my overhang. This would get cut off. And to do that, remember, if I want an 8-inch overhang, okay, I line up the tongue with my pitch mark here at the edge of building, and out here along the blade I find 8, and I mark that. Okay? Actually, I'm sorry. That would be back here. Wrong side. I use the inside of the tongue and the inside of the blade. I would actually be back here a little bit farther. I used the wrong side. Apologies, gentlemen. So let's forget that. Let's rotate our 7 down, line it up with our mark, 7 on the common, pivot here, slide to our mark, and then this would all get cut off. Okay? Mistakes are made. All right, here we go. So there's our overhang, our OH. This is edge of building. Okay? And I didn't use a true 2x4 here. This was cut down, but for demonstration purposes, we got everything in that we need. All right, that's a lot of stuff, but I will review in class with all that before we take the test.